All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 41. All right, last episode we got to know the origins of not just the Empire, but the Alliance as well.
That was kind of an intense episode. Even though we didn't see our main cast in it, I'm really glad we got it. I really loved it.
Yeah.
But now we're into the present again, I'm guessing, which means, okay, how soon is all that stuff with invading the Alliance through Fejon going to happen?
Yeah, we have to see the transition time for Julian to see how much time he's actually going to be in transit here, if we're going to do any kind of a time skip, which, might be prudent here, or if we're going to then hyper-focus in on one of the sides and the goings-on in preparing for what's to come.
Right.
I believe at this point we could stand to have a little bit of Reinhardt focus. I feel like the previous episode being about Julian, the one previously to this one, the previous one, being about Julian kind of getting ready to leave, everyone saying goodbye, everyone giving him their advice and stuff like that. If we get Julian focus, that would be wonderful, but have it maybe be in conjunction with some Reinhardt focus.
Sure.
To see where things are moving on that galactic scale. Otherwise, Julian focus would be great.
Would be
too.
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. But y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, I guess sometimes you get exactly what you want.
Yeah, yeah. Reinhardt focus. There you go.
With the side of Julian.
Yep.
There you go.
This was great. I love how this show is able to basically just have whole episodes be conversations between characters, and that's the good stuff. Like,
right, that is the good stuff.
Like, it's not cutting it cheap or anything like that. That's where it's at.
Yep, and then it's also set up for what's actually now happening. We now know when, where, and how everything's going to go down.
Yep.
There are some details regarding the invasion that we don't know regarding yet, but those are more like extremely small details. So Reinhardt, he gets to talk with a whole bunch of people here, and he sets up a couple really important kind of conversations to happen with other characters as well.
Right.
Like he sets up Oberstein and Lang. He sets up Ruenthal talking with Mittermeier.
Yep.
He sets up, in some ways, the Kesserling and Rubinsky conversation as well.
Right, that tends to happen when you say you're going to have an invasion that involves 1 million ships.
Or rumors of that.
Rumors.
That's
right.
That's one of the details we don't know yet. Is we don't know actually like how many there will be.
I believe. Right. That's what the rumors are.
That was just the rumors being passed around because they're still recruiting people. They're literally drafting right now.
That's true.
So they don't know actually how many it's going to be, but it's like that's how many it could be.
They'll probably be able to do it. Yeah.
They'll probably be able to come pretty dang close. Yeah. So, okay, Julian has now left.
Right.
For Fejon.
The same day as Reinhardt announces Ragnarok.
Yes. Now, it still was not the beginning of the invasion, though.
Right. That is very true.
Like, Reinhardt sets up the next Kaiser, the Kaiserin, the day after that whole thing. So there's still a few areas in which the
gears are still moving.
The Empire is a little slow, which is good. Because then maybe Julian will be able to do something really key within the Fejon kind of political situation there.
Right. And it makes sense that it would take a while, because when you're winding up for the end of the universe, that tends to happen, it's
a bit much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but we had a lot of just good little moments in here.
We really did.
We got to see Julian talk with Bucock, which is good.
And it was like everything coming out of Bucock's mouth. It was like, Julian, take notes. Like, just turn on a tape recorder.
Yep.
Like,
Listen to this guy.
This is great stuff. I love how the different people in their different positions will have different perspectives on what's going on. The whole thing of him talking about the way that a military can get sort of segregated and turn into its own existence and thing and faction,
which is something that
you know,
politicians are very scared of.
right?
So they
and
end up
naturally, you know,
yeah, exactly. So then he, laments on how then they end up meddling,
right,
a lot to keep that from happening.
But then that reduces the effectiveness of said military.
So then what's the point of even having a military that you do those kinds of things where it's like, well, we have to have a military. It's
right.
Like, okay, but then maybe we shouldn't be invading. Maybe we shouldn't be doing these things. Maybe the whole point of this, democracy thing is, that we serve the people,
right?
Stuff.
Which is a great tie-in to Lang's whole comment on democracy, but we'll get into that later. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bucock has now given Julian his blessing of sorts. His encouragement of like, all right, he's the last person from the Alliance that you're talking to before you end up heading for Fejon. He did get to speak to Merkatz's XO, which is pretty cool.
So many good one-liners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But Bucock bringing up a really interesting point. The idea that, well, just because you end up, going over there. Let me get the exact part that I'm thinking of there. Is that there's a way of, currying favor that's going on here that's it's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
And he brings it into the whole discussion regarding, how military forces and politicians end up interacting when the military is stationed so far away. But that kind of harassment is not necessarily the kind of harassment that's going on here with Julian.
Yeah, like the fact that he mentioned the Livermore guy or whatever his name was, that felt very specific because I don't think we've met that person yet.
I don't recognize the name.
Like that felt like very much foreshadowing, and we also got that bit of information that we always kind of suspected, but that yes, Trunit was the one who arranged for Julian's transfer
to split him up, Bradley
split
style.
Him from Yang,
yeah.
right? Exactly.
Yep.
So given that that's happening, what's Trunit's plan there?
No, it's very obvious. He's just dismantling Yang's power structure and doing factional politics.
Yes.
He's just solidifying a larger hold over the military slowly but surely.
Exactly, and not at all thinking about the fact that, there's an empire out there that theoretically, if they felt so inclined, could actually field a fleet of 1 million ships.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that number. That feels a little bit extreme. Because it wasn't long ago that Reinhardt took power, and the nobles could not field, as far as I could tell, anything close to that.
Right. I suppose since it was specifically said to be rumors, that could be sort of just like the exaggeration that ends up happening or whatever. Like
I could see 500,000 to 700,000 ships.
But at the same time, because he's doing a dictatorship right now, and a fairly decent amount of time has passed, and his plan to unite the Empire against the Alliance worked amazingly well. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's just a question of really how much of that is something that he's going to basically throw in on this, whole thing there.
Right.
Also, I would love to bring up a very interesting point regarding his tactics, which segues nicely into the conversation he had with the admirals. One of the things that I'm really glad that he did here was he acknowledged why it was important that they attack the Isolon fortress.
Right.
Was because the Alliance then must engage them fully. Because if they lose Isolon Fortress, they're
screwed.
Over.
Yeah.
There's 3 other things I think that really need to be pointed out here, because I think he only really mentions one of them as being important. If the Alliance then retreats from the Isolon Fortress, you can chase them.
Right.
Yes, the Isolon Fortress could decimate you. It could. But if you take it, you can then put that victory on top of another victory, where then the remaining fleet that you have left goes and chases after the Alliance, and now you've got them pincered. But this is the other reason why it's really good to attack the Isolon Fortress. What if the Alliance then goes, we'll attack you?
Right, exactly. You gotta have the rock in a hard place, that way they can't go anywhere, so you can properly squish them. Yeah.
And that's why also I think the whole thing of Reinhardt fielding everything into one go is just bad strategy. if he fields literally everything that he has into one offensive,
it
doesn't matter how good your strategy and tactics are. That is the exact same thing the Alliance did.
Right.
You're setting yourself up to fail harder than you need to.
Right, which is why the thing that I was hoping would be mentioned was something of, since they don't want Fejon to just close the borders and then scorched earth, what do? They don't have supplies, and then they're conquerors, not the, they don't have that positive spin to put on things.
Right.
Why not just say, like, all right, plant 500,000 ships in Fejon, or however many, right? Enough of a swarming.
50,000 would be plenty.
Oh, 50,000 would be plenty, right? But you could just, if you actually end up dealing with 1 million ships, and let's say 300,000 of them are keeping Iserlon busy, no big deal.
Well, that's the thing. Based on the ratios of the thing that he showed there, it was like, I think, exactly a third.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, if he fields, 750,000 ships, 250,000 could then deal with Iserlon. And yes, that would be more than enough to not only, I would say, keep them busy, but potentially take Iserlon, especially if Yang
isn't there.
No. Sorry. Yes, isn't there. But I was meaning is specifically recalled back to protect the Alliance's, main body of planets and stuff and systems. So there's that whole thing. Also, the Admiral's getting more opportunity to just chime in, give their feedback and stuff is wonderful. And Bittenfeld.
Yes.
Bittenfeld, you're a really good doggo.
Yeah, just standing up really immediately and being like, let the Black Lancers do this.
Yeah. I'm gonna go play.
You're saying this is gonna be the best frisbee toss ever, Master. I will chase that down.
Throw the bone. Yeah.
Right. I will catch that ball and I will bring it back to you.
Bittenfeld is like a Labrador that's like just red, like just an orange-haired Labrador. Just
like in my own headcanon, right? Just ephemeral ghost panties just flew in front of his vision, and he's like, yes, sir.
Yes, let the Black Lancers be the vanguard.
We will thrust forward. We will penetrate the defenses. Yeah.
I love how much you can see the remnants of the old way they did things with the nobility coming through in this moment of elation as they realize we can't lose here.
Right.
And that's just so good to see, because what that is saying they could lose, but it's not that they're going to lose everything. It's that they're going to maybe take losses, like Ruental said, that aren't necessary.
Right.
And this is the part where I think things are going to get dragged out. Because when you have an offensive like this, and it's the Germans invading Russia, potentially, especially if the politicians in this Russia allow the Russians to do scorched earth policies.
Right.
Which works, let me tell you. It works really well.
That's why you keep Fejon occupied, so you can keep that supply train going. Just take that 10% off the top of your forces. It'll be worth it.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is why Julian being in Fejon could lead to some really cool things. So, if Ruental is thinking this far ahead and is realizing that there might be some tactical blunders here and there, I think it'll be a really cool thing to see if in the middle of the invasion we see things being done that have that air of the nobility. The personal ambitions of one that hurts the overall empire. But for you, it gives you that slight little bit of an edge.
Right. And the thing that was so awful about the nobility is that the idea of being rewarded for when you do good stuff, that's a good system. Right? Pretty good. Yeah, when you do something good, you should be rewarded.
But who decides what's good?
But who decides what's good? And teamwork is also a good thing. So
I mean, you could be playing for the wrong team.
That's definitely true. Yeah. And in the case of Reinhardt's Admiralty here, they're competent individuals, right? Like, Bittenfeld did have that point where it got to his head. The panties were waving a bit too close to his nose, but their confidence and their enthusiasm here, I don't think will necessarily get Reinhardt into trouble, but it's that kind of thing that if it's the seed of that starting, right? Because they have the competence to back it up. But if that, say, went on for another generation, the next generation might not, but they still have that general enthusiasm because that's how you do things.
Yeah, I don't want to go too in depth into the positive angle of it there from like that could be the end of their invasion or something. But I see what you're saying there, because then if Bittenfeld ends up being the vanguard and sees this as a glorious conquest, even though he's not necessarily seeing that right now, it is the kind of thing where, from Ruenthal's perspective, they could end up shooting themselves in the foot.
Sure.
By seeing this more as down with the, fake pretenders and all that, and then they end up purging the Alliance rather than, taking over the Alliance.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where, in some ways, they might end up inviting the Scorched Earth policy by the way that they, invade. So
essentially,
I could see this really being a thing where the Alliance loses and we get the whole resistance angle side of things. And I'm so excited for the potential of that, because then what you get if you go this angle, let's say the Alliance just horrendously loses, right?
Sure. Put up a good fight, but, yeah.
You get Yang and Julian on opposite ends in both of the corridors. Yang is holed up in Iserlon, basically being like, I can't leave to go save you guys, because literally if I do,
we will all die. Yeah.
I can't sortie from this fortress
and
get back in time.
200,000 ships.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But Julian and him might be able to then start this new resistance alliance where Fejan even gets involved, and they're like, yeah, actually we might have made a mistake. So then we start the resurgence of this new alliance of sorts. And this is where they're setting this up again from another angle. Reinhardt was like, if I had to choose a vice right now.
Yeah, that
was so cool.
Oh, man.
I'm like, dang. Man. They're setting it up to where it's not that Yang would take over temporarily to provide the whole Caesar effect.
It'll just be given to him.
It'll be given to him.
Yeah.
Which, can you think about that from the from the political angle here?
Oh my God.
If Reinhardt gave Yang the offer and it was publicized.
Oh yeah, that'd be a great way to win over the people.
Well, no, it would be a horrendous way to win over the people.
Oh.
Because then everyone sees Yang as an imperial traitor.
Okay, sure, yeah.
They then go, you would give up what we have as our freedom and everything like that? Especially if Yang says yes. If anything, I think he could use it as a thing of where it's you're right in that it could probably help the Imperials.
Yeah, there's potential positive and negative.
Right.
Yeah, because if the people are able to accept it, the Alliance has been completely crushed, and then sort of as a token of goodwill, Reinhardt's like, very well, I'll let one of your heroes basically rule you. Just don't piss us off and we'll go away. But,
you can be middle management.
Right, exactly.
Yang would say no. That's the thing, though. The offer itself would be a political weapon.
Because he doesn't want to be in that position.
Well, that's the thing. He would not want to be in that position. But I could see a couple people being like, dude, you need to take it. You need to take it. If we're going to do this resistance thing properly,
we need you helping us.
We need you being in a position of power within the new regime.
Yeah.
Which is just, oh man. So what I want to see, I want to see the fleet go through Fejan and the fleet come to Iserlon, and Julian sends his message and does whatever he's supposed to do. But it's just that moment where he's like, it's too late.
Yeah, There's nothing
I can do. And it's just this moment of where you see the stars be completely blotted out by light, just light. And you're like,
right,
and you're just like, this is insane.
The shot we got of the Alliance fleet when it was the 200,000 ships, right?
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was insane, right? If Reinhardt actually manages to do this 1,000,000 ship thing, my conquest is the Sea of Stars. It's not my conquest is the stars. It's no, my conquest looks like a sea of stars as it comes through.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Oh my God. But y'all, this episode's setting up so much here. We've got a lot of characters that are basically prepping Julian for what's coming. There's a lot of cool conversations within that.
We didn't even talk about Lang.
But Lang being the new secret police.
Like, that's a problem. Like,
so Reinhardt is thinking about potential resistance within his own borders. I think that's a good thing to think about as your dictatorship leader. But here's the problem. You can't try to separate too much this idea of what will be public order versus private order. You end up in a really weird place where even if your system is perfect, there's still the people acting out in order to make the system perfect. Those people are human beings,
right,
who are going to see this, and they might tell people, even if it's just their children. So you might not have the problem now, Reinhardt, but this cannot be a permanent solution.
Right. I feel like Lang's comment of the whole thing of the few ruling the many.
Yeah.
Like that was a wonderfully twisted, take on democracy.
Because it's got an element of truth in it.
Right. Yeah.
But it's so simplistic that you can tear it apart from so many angles, and yet.
But it's insidious.
It's insidious, yeah.
Because the thing is that is what's happening in the Alliance right now.
Yep.
So, but then the whole statement of a few rumors can be more powerful than any number of ships.
True.
That felt like it was something that was a two-edged sword that would end up coming to bite Reinhardt in the ass.
Yeah,
where
that's the very reason why a military police, a secret police in that regard, is a bad idea.
Right.
Because they themselves are then going to be the whispered rumor.
Right.
Even if they're called the internal security department.
Right. It's you're playing against the house at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like
literally.
And that generally doesn't go too well, especially when you could just be the house, So yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to try to think about maintaining a semblance of order in a what would their politics be at this point?
I mean, it's a
meritocracy of sorts, but it's like a
dictatorial meritocracy.
There's elements of freedom in it, but it gets a little bit janky trying to describe it. But in that respect, it's actually probably got a lot of potential if they ironed out, the dictator side of things a bit.
Sure.
So yeah. But yeah, this kind of ties in a little bit to the whole aspect of the quote that was made in the previous episode regarding, the devil you know versus the devil you don't kind of thing with regards to a leader, and Reinhardt being someone that is kind of the devil you know, but he's inviting the devil you don't.
Right, exactly.
To sup with him.
And that is like, well said. Well said.
It's really tricky to figure out when will this blow up? It's not a thing about if this will blow up. It's just a thing of where Reinhardt eventually this is going to be a problem.
Yep. And that's why I love his little conversations with Mariendorf.
Yep.
Even though the one in this episode was really short, but the whole idea of, I can't remember exactly how Reinhardt phrased it, but am I doing something wrong here, basically? And would it make you feel better? Like, do you want me to say no?
Right.
Why are you even really asking that question? Like, it's good to ask that question, but if you're asking the question, then
we have a problem.
Then we already have a problem.
Yeah, we already have a problem.
Yeah,
it is kind of cool that Mariendorf can kind of throw his stuff back in his face when he starts to doubt himself and needs reassurance without actual truth in it. This is kind of the thing of why if Kierheis was here, this would not be as much of a problem.
And you may be right, Reinhardt, that she never would have actually talked to you if you had gone to see her.
Right.
But are you sure you're not projecting?
Right.
Because who knows? Maybe you would have been able to resolve it, and then you would actually have someone that you can really talk to and be vulnerable with, and she could maybe help correct you when you get off course.
Yep.
But
you know what?
Is that your pride talking?
No, that's going to be the key, Jacob. Yeah? I think you just tapped into it because I was talking about this. I think 3 or 4 episodes ago in the discussion was the way he's going to be saved is when he fails, and then he goes to her and he's like, "I need your help."
Right.
And he's just vulnerable and honest.
And will it be too little, too late?
No, I think she will help him.
I think she will too.
I think not only she'll help him, I think she'll be like a second coming of Kierheis.
That would be so awesome.
But like when I say like she'll help, I mean, in some ways this will be the exact thing that Oberstein was afraid of.
Sure.
Is that Reinhardt starts showing weakness and starts messing up. And instead of coming to him for help, or at the very least falling back on just good logical principles so that he can cover his losses. This is the example of when you what is it? What's the phrase in a MOBA? Where you freak out because you're already losing, so you start losing harder.
Oh yeah,
I forgot what the phrase is, but basically this is the kind of thing. Yeah, throwing. Yeah. Oberstein is fine with the Empire taking losses here and there. That's granted. That's going to happen.
Exactly. It's not going to be a perfect game.
But I think this would be the kind of thing where he would see this as like, no, Reinhardt, don't give up power.
Right.
Because you messed up. Acknowledge where you messed up and learn from it instead of passing it on to someone else. And then that's the thing where Oberstein would be kind of right, but also, yeah. So I feel like you just tapped into something there because I can see where Oberstein's response would be, given how Oberstein handled Lang here.
Oh yeah, but I so want to see Lang end up getting his just desserts, where at whoever's hands it is.
People like him though never get their just desserts though.
Right, that's the problem.
No. It's I think in some ways that's something that you just shouldn't wish for. You should wish for them to just watch
disappear.
No, just to watch their system thing that they create just fall apart.
Sure.
They'll never get attached to it because then they get to just get to grow old and die alone. But that's the thing. They should grow old and die alone.
Right, wither away and
and just end up watching just
right. Yeah.
Doubting whether or not their purpose was worthwhile or they aided humanity in some grand way. Because that's usually
what makes true way to defeat them. Yeah.
Right. That's usually what makes a person like him feel, confident or whatever, is that he's like, I am a necessary component.
Yeah.
I do horrible things, but I'm needed. And it's like, but buddy. What if you're not?
Right. Because that level of
we'll see, I guess.
Just high and mighty aspect to him was what made it so like
To be fair though, there's a lot of this whole angle with the whole idea of an internal security department or something like that. That is grossly naive on my end at the very least to see like what you would actually need that for. Because in some level, who's giving the checks and balances right now within the upper echelons of the Empire? Just Reinhardt.
That's very true. Yeah, that whole internal affairs kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right, that does seem doomed to fail. So as long as they don't let the internal security department run rampant in terms of size,
sure,
it could actually be pretty good.
Right. Maybe have it be...
It's just that we have our association with the evils of a secret police.
Right.
And that's why the whole name rechanging thing, we're like, oh, that's disgusting, because they're basically just going to do the same thing under a different name.
Yeah, if it was for keeping, say, the military forces in check and things like that, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
But trying to keep the civilians in check through questionable means... Yeah. Well,
that was a big theme of the episode, though, is just people trying to manage other people.
Yep.
And the way that meddling can end up biting you in the ass.
Yep.
So, here we go. Invasion time. Ragnarok.
Put on your party hats. Hold on to your butts.
It's the end of the world. Yay.
Yep.
And we have the Imperial Admirals just like cheering on, like, let's do this, dude, yeah.
Woo!
They're all jumping into Discord VC. They're like, it's on, man,
We're finally doing the big raid.
Who do you think he's going to take with him through the Fejon corridor, and who do you think is going to go and be responsible for Iserlon?
I'm not sure if Reinhardt is actually going to be at the front of things.
Oh, he's totally going to be at the front of things, dude.
Oh, well,
he's totally going with his ship into the Alliance territory. He is going with the main thing. If anything, that would be kind of funny if they're like, Reinhardt, Yang, I just saw Reinhardt's ship going through Fejon. Okay, cool. So then we can acknowledge that
good to know.
The Iserlon thing is a feint, which obviously it is, but then we can take maybe 20% of our fleet, leave it there, And the other 80%, we better go and see what you can do over here.
Or even crazier, Reinhardt goes to Iserlon with the smaller fleet, and he's like, Ruental, Mittermeier, everybody, I trust that you know what you'll be able to, what to do. But, I kind of want to...
He wants to tango with Yang.
I want to tango with Yang a little bit,
you know. Yang would probably leave Iserlon under the orders of the Alliance Command.
Sure, and then they sandwich him and, he's done. But
yeah, I don't think Reinhardt would go that way.
I don't think he would either.
One Thor's hammer or whatever, and just Reinhardt's, a memory.
Yeah, that would be kind of a
dust
problem.
in the wind.
Right.
They're like, we misjudged the range of the weapon because they put some upgrades into it recently.
Right. They took a note from us and installed some engines on the outside.
Yeah, it just moves a little bit, just to change its direction quicker or something. That would be cool. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
That's right, because I wrote a sci-fi novel that is indeed called Battle Lines. If you're wanting to check it out and see what it's about, it's on Amazon. The link is in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.